Yo, what's cracking, guys? Faison here, and today I'm bringing you guys episode 1 of Analyzing Albaz. This is a series in which we're going to go over the branded fusion engine as well as the Albaz archetype as a whole. We're going to be talking about which archetypes work best when mixed with the branded fusion engine, as well as how to best play each of these depending on your playstyle and your budget, more importantly. Over the course of the series, I currently have plans to focus in on 4 different archetypes, those being Eldritch, Despia, Invoked, and Tri-Brigade. I picked these 4 because, for one, I have them all, and 2, I feel that these are the ones that have the best inherent synergy with the branded fusion engine. But that being said, if y'all are interested in seeing it in more decks, please feel free to leave suggestions and I'll try my best to make them work. But I think ultimately these 4 are going to be some of the more competitive builds. In this first episode, we're going to be going over how to play the deck at the lowest budget possible, just 3 structure decks. I've not included a side deck in this because I think ultimately if you want to take this to competitive tournaments, you're going to have to shell out a few extra bucks for slightly better staples, but it should be noted that the Kaijus and the Dark Ruler No Mores that are included in this deck are fantastic cards. It's just that I chose not to include them in the main deck. Let's go ahead and get right into the main deck. We're playing 3 Kit and 2 Keeper of Dragon Magic. This is going to be 5 ways to get to our branded fusion, which is going to be our play starter. We're playing 3 Fallen of Albaz. In this version of the deck, I decided to play it at 3 because, for one, he's great going first or second, and you want to make sure that you don't run out of Albaz in the grind game, and you want to make sure that your branded fusion is always live. We're playing the 1 Tri-Brigade Mercurier. It's a negate, but ultimately you don't want to open it because you can only resolve it if you control a fusion monster, so you're better off searching it. Next up, we have an Albion the Shrouded Dragon. He is a free mulligan, and he pluses when used with Branded Sword. Next up, we have staples, 3 Ogre and 3 Veiler. It's awesome that Konami decided to reprint these just because they are 2 of the 5 most influential hand traps in the current metagame, so it's really great that you get 40% of all the good hand traps right now. And finally, to round out the monsters, we have Artifact Scythe, because you can actually Scythe lock people with this deck, and it is actually pretty decent. Moving on to the spells, we've got the 3 Branded Fusion, the best spell in the deck, obviously, and the 1 Branded Lost. I decided to play this at 1 because while it does plus you, it only pluses if you're able to fuse under it, so you're better off searching it rather than opening it, and you would only really search it if you already have access to a Branded Fusion, of which you play 8 copies with those monsters at the beginning. Then we play the 1 Fusion Recycling Plant and the 1 Fusion Substitute as a target. While I have included a target just to diversify the plays available to you, you are ultimately playing the Recycling Plant to recur resources and just win in the grind game. Next up, we play 3 Extravagance for the consistency and 1 Called By because we hate hand traps. Moving on to the traps, we play the 1 Branded Sword as a target for Albion. We play a bunch of good staples. Warning Point at 3, there can be only 1 dimensional barrier, and to round out the deck, we play 3 back to the front, and this is going to be our way to Scythe lock people, which I will go over right as soon as I'm done with the extra deck. Moving on to the extra deck, we play 3 of the consistently good ones, that being Mirror Jade, Lubellion, and Albion, and we play 2 of the more niche ones. The reason I decided on these ratios is because you want to make sure you don't lose out on resources as you resolve Pot of Extravagance, so we want to max out on all the good ones and then make sure we have everything else at least at the max available, depending on how much space is left. So we play the 2 Titaniclad. This is going to be a way to clear your opponent's board when you normal summon Albaz. We play the 2 Brigand. This is going to be your way to search Tri-Brigade Mercurier. And we play 2 Sprind. This is going to be your way to add a Spriggan's Kit to your hand for follow-up. So let's go over a basic combo line. For the Scythe Lock, you're going to need 1 back to the front and just 1 way to Branded Fusion, whether that be Kit or Keeper of Dragon Magic. You're going to start by activating your Branded Fusion, with which you're going to send Artifact Scythe and Fallen of Albaz to summon an Albion. Using Albion effect on summon, you're going to banish the Albaz and the Albion to fusion summon a Mirror Jade. Now, from here, all you have to do is set the back to the front and pass the turn. You're ending on a Scythe block and a non-target banish, which is actually quite a lot considering this is just a structure deck ultimately without any fine-tuning. But when your opponent starts their turn, you're going to want to use the back to the front, which is going to bring back your artifact Scythe. Scythe is going to trigger, meaning your opponent is not able to special summon from the extra deck for the remainder of the turn. And now they still have to play through that Mirror Jade. So yeah, considering, like I said, this is a structure deck, that is actually quite crazy in my opinion. And the deck has a lot of potential, especially as you start including other like viable engines with it, as well as staples. And before I finish the video, I wanted to kind of just briefly discuss how to prioritize each of these archetypes depending on what you want to play. Ultimately, they're going to come at various budgets, with the most expensive being the Despia build. Because Albers are well over 100 each, even the cheapest version of Despia is going to run you quite a pretty penny. If you've got the budget for it, I think that this is one of the more fun builds. It is quite combo heavy, and it is likely going to be the most competitively viable one. That being said, my bias is going to tell me that Eldritch is the next best, and Eldritch is actually arguably the cheapest build. You really don't need any expensive staple in that deck except Lord of the Heavenly Prison in the side deck if you choose to run it. And this is going to be the best return on investment if you don't mind playing Control, because I know Yu-Gi-Oh! Players love their comp. And finally, we have two of the more mid-rangey ones, Invoke and Tri-Brigade. Obviously, Tri-Brigade is a fan favorite, but ultimately, one thing to consider is that Tri-Brigade branded is basically just Tri-Brigade DPE with a new coat of paint. It is good, and I think it will be better, especially as these Scythe decks leave the format, but you're not doing anything tremendously new. Invoked, and its variants, whether it be branded Invoke Shaddoll, branded Invoked Dogmatica, offers a nice return from Alistair the Invoker if you don't hate him. I know that personally, I grew quite tired of him last format, but I think that he's been gone a while, and we'll see if I like him this time around. There's a lot of inherent synergy because when you play a card like Magical Meltdown, you no longer need to play a card like Branded Lost, so you can... you don't get that plus off of the fusion summon anymore, but at least your branded fusion is protected. So just some things to consider. In terms of price points, it's probably going to be Despia at the most expensive. Tri-Brigade and Invoked are going to be relatively comparable, with Tri-Brigade being more expensive because of cards like Access Code Talker. And then Eldritch is going to be the cheapest as the extra deck is the most flexible, and there are no expensive cards in the main or side unless you decide to play a card like Pot of Prosperity. So just some things to consider, but in the next episode, we'll be going over how to build the most budget version of branded Eldritch, which is going to be my personal favorite. But yeah, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you leave a like, comment, and subscribe. It lets me know what I'm doing right and wrong around here, and it keeps me motivated to make more content for you guys. I'll catch you guys later. Peace.